This video is brought to you by Keeps. Stick around to hear more about the discount that they're providing to the entire upper echelon community. Okay, today I want to discuss a topic that ends up being rather cyclical, I guess. What I mean by that is that historically there's been a pattern of controversy, downtime, and then controversy again, only after the public eye has shifted or moved on. At one point, it was on Twitch. Then it was on YouTube, and now Twitch is at the helm once again, with large influential broadcasters promoting gambling to their audiences. The thing is, it never ends well, and this time appears to be no different. Now, when I say gambling, I'm not actually talking about professional card players or player versus player table games. There is a subgenre on Twitch where poker players display real skill, odds calculations, and even career potential by reading the players around them and playing a game that contains, definitively, skill rather than chance. At least a large part of it is. That's technically gambling by the traditional definition, but I don't mean to include it in my definition for today because it doesn't have a long-standing reputation and track record, which points to unavoidable controversy. Today, we define gambling as a game that is purely based on chance. To really begin, we have to go back in time. In 2015, two streamers on Twitch, Syndicate and T. Martin, began to advertise a CSGO skin gambling site called CSGO Lotto. For those that don't know, CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, has cosmetic weapon skins, some of which are highly sought after, and can be traded to and from player accounts. Because these skins are obtained through a loot box system, which in turn requires real-world currency in order to access, for the most part, these skins kind of just organically became a currency of their own. Skins retained value, and that value could be used in order to gamble on the CSGO Lotto site. Here's where things got messy. Syndicate and T. Martin, the first two notable creators to promote the website, were actually the undisclosed president and vice president of the platform. When they gambled these skins, they could manipulate the website in order to favor them. I have no evidence myself that that actually happened, but it easily could. And even if it didn't happen, they could just cycle through their own money, gambling on their own platform, to find compilation segments and big wins, if you will, which then became YouTube videos and clickbait thumbnails. Videos like how to win $13,000 in 5 minutes on CSGO betting began to pop up all over the place, and the effects were prolific. T. Martin and Syndicate began expanding their reach and onboarding further creators, but the undisclosed affiliation, the undisclosed sponsorship, if you will, eventually blew up in their face. It's obviously completely unacceptable to have owners of a gambling platform secretly use that platform as if they didn't own it publicly, so as to compile the best moments of them winning their own money, for the most part, and then get people to think that it was lucrative to join and play too. I mean, everyone should be able to see that that's totally unacceptable. The scandal became an industry spotlight and will probably be remembered for a long time into the future, but that was just the first example of the issues that arise when gambling meets influencers. The second example is much more recent and involves Jake Paul and RiceGum. Pause. Before going any further, it's time for me to pay the channel bills and offer a partner discount in the process. 95% of you watching this right now are men ages 18 to 45. Anyone else outside that range, you are also amazing. Don't forget that, but that's the primary demographic here. The main group when it comes to hair loss is men ages 18 to 35, and thus Keeps is one of the most effective sponsors to have. Keeps can help prevent hair loss with generic versions of the only two products on the entire market that are FDA approved. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. You can order and get treated directly from your home, and some men even experience hair growth while using Keeps, not just retention. For a limited time, using the link down below in the description, you can get 50% off your first order. Again, that's 50% off your first order if you click the link down below in the description. I get paid to say this, but Keeps has also long supported the channel, so if you're in the market for hair loss prevention treatment of any kind, definitely check them out. Big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring the channel. Jake Paul and RiceGum are massive YouTubers on the platform. They don't live stream as much, but their scripted videos and general idiocy, in my opinion, are highly popular with a very young demographic. In 2019, during what seemed to be the golden age of the loot box controversy, Jake Paul and RiceGum accepted a sponsorship from a company called Mystery Brand and posted videos that promoted the website showcasing what you could win as they used the gambling systems themselves. Mystery Brand was effectively real-life loot boxes, but just like before, things were not exactly what they seemed. Mystery Brand was advertising Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and even mansions in their basic prize pool, but the mansion itself was just a stolen photo from Google Images, depicting property that the company didn't even own, and none of the larger items were ever paid out. Jake Paul and RiceGum might have been the most famous channels to promote the scam, but they definitely weren't the only ones. Guava Juice, a child-focused channel, and Morgs, another child-focused channel, also promoted the website, and while they did in fact acknowledge that there was a sponsorship this time, it was still a very shady company whose blatantly false products were being promoted to children in the form of real-life loot boxes to get them to gamble. Mystery Brand actually had in their terms of service, I think, a specific paragraph about how you might not get your items. Legitimately, that's it. They stated that for almost any reason, at their sole discretion, they could just not ship things that you won. And obviously when a loot box gambling company says that, with fake photos of mansions that they don't own and various other shady practices, we can start to understand what the goal here actually was. Not a good track record so far. Well, that was on the YouTube side, and now, a couple years later, we're back on Twitch again, because XQC and Trainwrecks TV, massive streamers on the platform right now, are drawing fire for their decision to promote a crypto gambling website called Stake.com. Here's where the problem starts. Stake.com is illegal in the United States, which is where these two broadcasters primarily stream, and the only way to access it is to use a VPN. That means you are publicly, very blatantly, dodging the legal system to gamble on a website that the government has banned in your region. And what's more, they both have accepted sponsorships to do this. We're back in the realm of being paid to gamble outside the framework of actual winnings, and just like before, the audience here is almost exclusively underage and highly susceptible. There are a number of clips that I could play, and I'll probably have some of them linked down below, and some of them will play in the background as well, but the gist of it is Trainwrecks got sponsored by Stake.com, and soon after, XQC jumped on board, did a broadcast that was not sponsored, and then got sponsored himself as a result of that. From what I could find, Stake.com is not actually the worst site that you could pick. They are decently accepted among the broader community at large as reputable, sort of, but even still, they are banned in multiple countries owing to the fact that they are a crypto gambling platform. Large streamers are accepting payment to illegally gamble in front of their young audiences, and maybe Stake.com is actually legit, fully, and will pay out all winnings, but that won't always be true for others. Stake.com is based on a Curaçao gambling license because they are notoriously easy to get. There is no regulation. There is no accountability. And when you factor in the foundation of cryptocurrency as well, on top of everything else, it's even less safe from a consumer perspective because you won't have any sort of financial institution backend if things do go sideways. Obviously, you can't gamble at a casino, for instance, and then say, hey, give me my money back to the bank. Like, they just won't do that. But let's say if your child steals your credit card because they are addicted to loot box gambling and they spend all of your money on FIFA packs. Yes, this has happened. You have recourse. You have some amount of recourse. If they spend all of your crypto at an illegal website, you have no options. Before anyone says it, yeah, I know people have to take care of their own financial security and practice quality family discipline, obviously, but gambling addiction is often compulsive, and those who suffer from it will find a way to get around countermeasures. That's especially true the younger that they are. Twitch influencers are promoting crypto gambling to their massive and underage audiences, which puts on display for all of them to see the incredibly powerful dopamine hit of winning thousands, even hundreds of thousands in a particular instance, carried out by a streamer who got paid to do it. He's not really risking anything. He got paid to do this because the company knows that just them sitting there spinning over and over will hook more and more people in. There is no telling what happens behind the scenes. XQC played the slots and then got sponsored, okay? Keep that in mind. He played a round initially and was not sponsored, and then got sponsored afterwards. Stake.com saw him play. They saw his first stream where he was not sponsored and lost $70,000, I believe. That first one, where they weren't involved at all, is when he lost a bunch of money, while Trainwrecks, who was sponsored at that time, was having massive consecutive wins, and then now apparently he's down like $250,000 in total, but I find it incredibly hard to believe that he would be playing at all if he had not made up that and more from the actual sponsorship capital. So this is a really complicated situation. But anyways, according to a clip from another streamer, that's when XQC got sponsored, was after the first stream, after he had lost $70,000. And then Stake.com brought him on board for a paid stream. We have no idea what kind of manipulations might be occurring algorithmically behind the screens at Stake.com. And back when CSGO Lotto was really taking off initially, I doubt anyone realized right in that beginning phase that the influencers reacting to their winnings and going viral all over social media actually owned the platform. I'm not saying that Trainwrecks or XQC or any of the other streamers and YouTubers who accept these sponsorships are owners of the platform that they promote, but the image of winning big for young teens carried out by millionaire influencers who are actually paid to sit there and play, and are not gambling in the same capacity as anyone else who uses the platform at all as a result, is an issue. It's never gone well yet in history, and it probably never will. The issues run deep. To get the payouts and the amounts, especially that these streamers are earning, you have to do spins that cost hundreds. You don't just spin on $3 or $4 and get back 800, probably ever, but these streamers are amplifying the dopamine hit for their audience because they rapid fire spins that in total cost tens of thousands. That's not a normal practice, and if you examine regulation for a place like Las Vegas, as an example, you would see that very few locations will even allow high-stakes slot machine spinning, like the Venetian is one example that does. Advertising is a highly calculated and very targeted endeavor. You can make Facebook ads and completely exclude them from being served to people under the age of 18, just as an example. A casino can take out TV airtime and put their marketing content in front of the late-night insomniacs, hyping them up to go spend a few hundred on blackjack, but they can't really take out mid-roll sections of a children's cartoon show and try to get them into maximum bet slot pulling. Twitch is currently bypassing that. These sponsorships put uncharacteristically large betting sprees in front of a massive underage, almost exclusively underage audience with more visceral feedback than any other sort of television or radio advertising could ever match. Companies know this, and they will keep doing it. The problem is when the streamers are literally breaking the law more often than not to participate, just to even use the website, while knowingly promoting this content to an underage demographic, plus a long-standing record of shady companies using the method the most. You don't see the Bellagio sponsoring gamers on Twitch or any legit casino. You see crypto platforms with a Curaçao gaming license that are banned in the United States. But the point is, when all of that is happening, it isn't going to end well. Bottom line, influencer-sponsored gambling is a terrible idea. And actually, just to break script completely for a moment here, there was another story I did a while back where there was a gaming media site called Unwinnable, and they had actually done, I think it was hundreds of paid advertorials, undisclosed paid advertorials for, I think, mobile gambling platforms. Right? So it was sponsored gambling or sponsored content that wasn't actually disclosed as sponsored for gambling platforms and casino type companies, and it was all just advertorials and really deceptive and horrible, and it had been done hundreds of times, and it was really one of the primary funding mechanisms, I believe, for their entire platform. It was really, really wild. So almost every single time I have ever seen gambling as a sponsorship, it's been awful. Not only is there a moral or ethical component, obviously, there is a legal component right now as well. We see an almost universally bad track record with these types of partnerships whenever they happen. And it seems to me that when the public scrutiny dies out, and it does always die out because people have a short attention span, they circle back every time even harder. Maybe they pick a different platform, maybe they pick some different influencers, but they always circle back every single time. Just recently, I covered how 1xBet, which seems to be a global ring of criminal online betting with more shady situations than I can even count, had entered esports. Again, every single instance of gambling or casinos or anything like that, sponsoring or integrating with influencers, has always gone bad. But 1xBet, global criminal online betting organization, had entered esports with multiple partnerships. Some of those partnerships have been severed now, owing to public attention directly. But now we see Twitch with sponsored crypto betting streams from streamers who legally can't even use the website while they do it, pulling over 100,000 concurrent viewers for a single broadcast in some cases. It is going to blow up, and when it does, a lot of streamers are going to have to be on the hook for it, and Twitch themselves even, because it's baffling to me that this has been allowed to go on as long as it has, at the scale that it has. It really is. It does blow my mind. But that's it. If you want to support, there are links down below. You can watch my content on Odyssey, which is a YouTube platform alternative, and it's spelled Odyssee. Someone told me in the comments that I should probably spell it out because it's a funky spelling and it doesn't show up if you Google the traditional spelling of the word Odyssey, but whatever. If you want to check it out, it's there, YouTube platform alternative. There is Locals, $5 a month. It's basically like Patreon, but better. Completely ad-free versions of all the videos go up on Locals, and the audio podcast format as well for paying members. But none of the content is ever actually exclusive to Locals. It's just the ad-free stuff, so keep that in mind. There's another gaming YouTuber to check out, linked down below. There's merch, social media, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.